Welcome everyone to tonight's session, Colorin Colorado. I will give the floor to our distinguished facilitator, Glenda Guzman, in a minute. But before I do that, I just want to remind you to make sure that the name on the screen matches the name that you used to register. That way, when we issue certificates, we know your first name and your last name. If you have any questions, technical questions, or any other questions during this session, you can put them in the chat. I'll be helping answer those. And if you have any other questions after the session, we will also be here to answer those. So again, thank you so much for joining us. For those of you that do not know me, I am Dr. Claudia Morales, and I support professional development efforts at Texas AFT. I will also be sending you a follow-up email with the link to access the session's recording and more information on what is discussed this evening. So thank you again. And with that, Glenda, welcome. Thank you for doing this session, and you have the floor.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm so excited. It's been a while since I've been able to share this great information about Colorin Colorado and other things. So I'm really excited to be here, and I'm excited to be able to show you what is new on the platform, and to answer any questions that you might have, and to just have some fun and learn some new things. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. There we go. So this is helping our L's to succeed. As you know, we have tons of L's in Texas, and supporting them sometimes can be really difficult, especially in the climate that we have, the environment that we have now. And so I'm hoping that some of the resources that we share through Colorin Colorado will be helpful. Tell you a little bit about myself. I am currently a district emergent bilingual instructional specialist. That's a long title. At Sci-Fair ISD. This is my first year there, and I'm so excited to be working with Sci-Fair and to be working with our wonderful president and Nikki Cohort, and all of the great people at Sci-Fair. I'm just really excited to be there. It's a really great district. I did earn my master's degree in specializing in ELLs. It's my passion, and so I wanted to make sure that I had the credentials to match the passion. I've been in public education for 15 years in different districts, starting out in Fort Bend, and then in Aldine, and then now in Sci-Fair. And I'm certified bilingual special ed and GT. So I've got kind of a broad range of experience there. I am currently a ELL national trainer with AFT, and also on the ELL cadre. I'm a former Fort Bend AFT president, so I got to advocate for several years for Fort Bend. And before that, before my education career, I was in human resources for 17 years, which brought me kind of a unique perspective on the whole education industry and how to really support our teachers and our students. And then aside from that, I am Nana. You can see two of my grandchildren there in the picture, and there are my daughters there, Megan, Christina, Eli, and Lauren are my kiddos, and my grandbabies, Luke and Anakin. And I have one missing. She didn't want to be in the picture because it was a kid party, but that's Luna, and she's a grown-up 16-year-old. I'm also a Rotarian, so I work with international students who come in from other countries, and I facilitate their activities while they're here for a year. I love Zumba. That is my passion as well. And I love sports and traveling. Just a little bit about me. So first of all, we want to make sure that we're clear about what AFT PD is all about, and why we do PD for our members. It's to strengthen our profession, and to strengthen our unions, and to strengthen our schools. As you know, public education and unions are under attack. That is no secret. And so the more PD that we give, the more professionalism we instill in our members. And so we want to give them those unique skills so we can build ourselves as professionals. We engage our members through PD. That's how I got into AFT, was through professional development. I'm a bit of a PD junkie. I will call myself a PD junkie. And so that's how I got in. And we like to advocate for the professional needs of our members to improve our school. And ultimately, the ultimate goal is so that we can reach every child that we serve. So you see, Colorin Colorado is one of the supports that we have for our members. That we're going to go intensely and describe all the things that are available. Well, not all, because there's millions of things that really that are under that website. But we also have the American Educator. There's an ELL cadre which discusses ELL issues across the country. There's the AFT Latino Issues Task Force that also discusses Latino issues across not just education, but other issues across the board. We have the 2006 convention resolution that kind of empowered all of these supports to help our educators. We have the American Guide and the magazine that you get every week or every month from AFT. So we have lots of things to support our members all the way across the board. Share My Lesson is another one. And so I've provided a little QR code there. If you haven't already done so, go ahead and click that QR code and you can sign up for Share My Lesson. And there is tons and tons and tons of lessons out there for you to access. There are lessons for teachers, there's PD, there's actual lesson plans. Some of those lesson plans were submitted by people like myself and my other colleagues and friends who submitted tons and tons and tons of lesson plans there. So it's kind of like that other little 3-letter, teacher pay teacher thing, but this one's free and you get access to everything that any teacher has provided to the site. Now, just if we can do a quick in the chat, if you can put in the chat some of the things that you may have, some of the supports that you might have already accessed. Like if you've already gotten into Colorin Colorado, if you have accessed Share My Lesson, or if you have gone to the Teacher Academy in Baltimore, or if you have done any of the other, or participated with any of the other AFT supports, you can put that in the chat. That kind of gives me an idea of who we are talking to and what I can help you with. Give you a second. Okay. Well, I'll keep checking it. And then if that comes up, if you have any questions, you can also put those in the chat, and we can move on from there. Okay, so here's our agenda. This is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about what Colorin Colorado is, why it's called that. We're going to approach really looking at the website through the eyes of a teacher who is asking questions. So once we talk about what Colorin Colorado is, we're going to look at some questions that teachers might have and see where we might find those within the website. We're going to talk about other related resources within the site itself, including videos and checklists and all kinds of other supports that Colorin Colorado has. And then we'll have a question and answer session. And we're going to discuss some new things that are in the website. So if you've already been in Colorin Colorado before, you're going to see some new things that have come out, which are really exciting. And then if we have time, then we might just go in and do a little tour of the website. So Colorin Colorado is a website that serves nearly 3 million visitors a year. That's pretty amazing. And we've gone to several conventions, and for bilingual teachers like NAVE, and at those places, you would not believe that the number of teachers and professors that use the site, especially when they are doing their research or they're finishing up their dissertations. So the professors are really using this information as part of their curriculum. So we know that a lot of it is research based, and a lot of it is teacher submitted. So it's really relevant and a good resource to use if you want to find anything out about ELLs, or in Texas we call them EBs, emergent bilinguals. So I'll be using those terms interchangeably.
Glenda,
It was linked out of.
Glenda, pardon the interruption. We see two dark blocks on your presentation. Do you mind stop sharing it and reshare it? Maybe
Sure.
take care of it, please. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Pardon the interruption again.
I don't see a dark blob, so.
Oh, okay. Jamie and I were seeing them, so that's why we wanted to let you know.
Yeah, we were seeing two long rectangles, one at the top and one at the bottom.
Rectangles?
Now
Well,
there's
you
like,
know what? That's the meeting bars. What I'm seeing at the top and the bottom are the meeting bars for Zoom.
okay,
Do you still see them?
yeah, it's
Well,
crazy. Okay, well,
yeah.
proceed.
Looks fine to me.
Okay. So who uses it? So educators use this, administrators, school counselors, parent coordinators, librarians, higher ed faculty, PD trainers like ourselves, and families. Originally, the site was created for families. There was a need to have a resource that families could access to help support their children's education. And so out of that need, they grew this website. And then as it grew, educators started to say, well, what else can you put in there that I could use? And then it grew to include resources that teachers would need. And then administrators said, oh, well, we need things too. So it just kind of grew from there. But originally it was designed for parents. So you'll see when we have the tour of the site, you'll see the English portion and you'll see a Spanish portion as well. So that's going to be really exciting. So how can you use the website? So there's tons of uses. If you go into the website, you will probably spend hours in there if you're anything like me. I can spend hours in this website because there is so much to see. Everything that is in there is research based, and you will see the attached research information that is linked to the articles that are in there, and then tons of supporting documents as well. So you might look at one thing, but then it will lead you to another thing. And then from there, you'll want to research that some more. And then you'll see other attached research documents. And so it just goes on and on. So it's some of the things that you can use it for is for co-teaching. So if you're co-teaching maybe with a non-bilingual teacher, this is a great place to give them some support or have them go to look for strategies and all kinds of supports there, not only for themselves, but for their families and also administrators. There is lots of professional development material in the site as well. There are tons of books, references to books, not only professional development books, but also books for children. You can use this during PLC time for planning. There's so many strategies in this website that you will run out of planning time before you run out of the material in this site. And like I said, originally it was set up for family engagement. It was set up for families. So you'll see lots and lots of information in different languages. Actually, there is 11 different languages represented on this website. So you'll see all of that in that website as well. And like I said before, professors use this for their pre-service education and for educating their future teachers. because there is so much research-based information in the website. So now we're going to move on to questions. So here is one of the first questions that a teacher might ask who is new to ELLs or EBs. So one of the questions is, was there a question? No? Okay. I've never taught ELs before, and now I have several newcomers in my class. Where do I start? So that might be a relevant question for a monolingual teacher who now has a ton of L's in their classroom now. The education field, when it comes to English language learners and even special education, has really changed and evolved and is constantly evolving now with the new policies that are coming out of Texas and the US. And so you might find, if you're not a bilingual teacher, you might find that you have tons of ELs in your classroom that you've never had before. So this is a great place to go to find that information. So one of the answers that one of my colleagues and I have come up with is that one of the main things that you do first when you have ELs in your classroom is that you need to build relationships. So simple things like learning to say the student's name correctly, which can be challenging, but it's very important to the student that they learn that you say their name correctly. Learning about their prior schooling or their prior situations, that becomes very important. Academically, it's important because you need to know where you're starting from. You might have a fifth grader that comes in that has no prior schooling at all. And so that's a very different thing than having a third grader who comes in that's had schooling before and maybe has been taking English classes and already has some prior knowledge. So those are very different situations, and the site will give strategies for all those situations. Welcoming students in their welcoming the students' language, culture, and strengths, acknowledging that their culture is valuable, acknowledging that their language is valuable, and acknowledging that they have strengths beyond just their language, but they also have strengths in other areas. And so we really emphasize on the site and just on our ELL modules that you really need to come from a strength-based perspective with your children and realize what they have and not what they don't have. Because in reality, if a student comes in and does not know the language yet is a big word, they will eventually learn the language and learn all the content, and now they will have two languages. And so that's a huge strength to have. So we want to make sure that we are communicating that to our students. So I want to play a video which talks about the gifts that children bring to the classroom. This is one of the videos out of the website, and this is Lydia good grief, I forgot her last name. I just know her as Lydia, but she's one of the coordinators on Colorin Colorado, and this video talks to a principal in the Washington, he was principal of the year, and he talks about ELLs, and I want to go ahead and play that. Hopefully you can see it. Can you see it?
We see our students as having gifts.
Yes.
It's not a detriment to speak another language. It's a gift. Some of these babies are traveling to different countries, having to assimilate in different communities with different family members, with different friends and classrooms. That takes a high level of emotional intelligence, which to me is a gift to be able to do successfully. And I don't think we give our second language learners and our immigrant students enough credit for what they have to do as children. Lord knows I couldn't do it as an adult. So our staff sees these gifts in our students, not just the academic gifts, but the emotional talents. And we try to really reach out and find those gifts and talents. And I'm very proud. One of the things that we do at Miniville is we have a very high number of students found eligible and brought up for eligibility for gifted. And I think that's a place that we want to be. And it just takes a change in perspective of how you see these students. It's not they're not academic challenged, but these are students of promise. We just have to make sure that we're actively seeing that.
Go back.
Howie Mandel here. We all
Sorry.
know the feeling of getting home after a long day and just wanting to.
All right, let me go back to our website here. Let me stop share, then I'm going to share again. I'm going to share again. No. All right. Let's see that. There. That's what I wanted to do. All right. Go back. Here we go. So there are tons of videos of professionals in the field that talk about the ways that they address ELLs successfully in their schools. And you'll find tons of videos of other experts in the field that talk about the successes that they've had and how bringing ELLs into the school and really focusing on their strengths and their abilities really helps not only that student, but it helps the other students as well. All right, oops, didn't want to do that, sorry. There we go. So there's tons of resources.
We see our students as having gifts.
Sorry, guys.
It's not a...
There you go. All right. There are tons of resources in the website, and I have a QR code here that you can hit, and it will take you directly to this website where we have a gallery of how to address just newcomers. Newcomers are probably the most challenging ones because they come in with no knowledge, and for the most part, they'll come in with no knowledge of the English language or the culture sometimes, and so that can be challenging, especially for someone who's not trained in that. And so these videos really offer some strategies to help the students. But here's the thing. A lot of these strategies are just good pedagogy. And so what works for our L's really works for all of our students. So a lot of the strategies that you'll see on the website, you will also be able to use with all of your students. Okay, question number 2. We have a lot more L's enrolled than usual. What do we prioritize? So prioritizing in education in general is just a really difficult thing to do. And when you have the added on challenge of having to teach students who don't have the language yet, that can be overwhelming. And so prioritizing is a big important part of that. So some of the suggestions that we have is to look at the big picture and really partner with the families and determine what it is the families are needing. A lot of times families don't know what they need, and they don't know what they are bringing their children into, and they look to you as the expert to really guide them through the process of the education system. And so they need to know too that they are partners in that system, that you might be the expert, or they might feel that you're the expert, but they really are the first educators for their students. And so that partnership, that relationship building is really important. Then we need to look for patterns and trends that you notice. It's really important to understand who our children are, where they're coming from. Is there trauma involved? Is there situations that need to be addressed? Are there special education issues that need to be addressed? So there's all kinds of things that you need to learn about that student in order to be successful and to bring them and make them feel safe and part of the education community, the classroom. And so you'll see I have a QR code here as well that goes to a page on Colorin Colorado. So this is kind of what it looks like. And you'll see that this specifically addresses how to support immigrant families and strategies to do that at the elementary school and the early childhood programs, but then it also goes deeper than that. So you'll see lots of strategies. Mental health is a big thing now with all of the situations where students may not feel safe outside of the classroom and sometimes inside the classroom. There are articles in here to help you support your students irregardless of those situations. And then there's some additional information about what their rights are, and then how to partner with them, and then huge, the social and emotional support part of it, which sometimes that may be the only thing you can provide for them, but it's so important to allow them to access the information and just feel like they have a part and they can feel safe in your classroom. There we go. All right, question number 3. Many of our students have experienced trauma. That's just what we finished talking about. How can we support them? So to help them feel safe, we'll include ELLs in social and emotional learning. So that page that we just came from has a lot of those articles there. You can request training in trauma-informed practices. Again, trauma is recognized or comes out in many different ways. And so the trauma that our students are experiencing just from the climate may require you to have some of this trauma-informed training. And a lot of that is in the website as well, but it's nice to have some actual trauma training, which AFT provides, by the way. And then ensure your students have access to the support. This video here is an example of how this one school in Dearborn, Michigan actually addressed the needs of immigrant students and the trauma that they may have encountered. I would like to play this for you. It's about 4 minutes, but I think it's really worth it.
I'm Nabila Nasser. I'm in Miss Cinti class. I'm in 6th grade. I'm from Yemen.
Before starting her new school in Dearborn, Michigan, 12-year-old Nabila was worried.
Because I don't know anyone, I don't know the language they talk. And I think they are going to laugh about me.
New immigrants like Nabila have a lot to cope with when they get to middle school. Many students here have seen terrible things in their home country.
Anytime there was a loud noise, this poor little kindergarten boy would just hit the floor and he would cry because where he came from there were bombs.
You'll notice a lot of the students don't have their moms here.
بس بعدين لما أنا جيت هون أمريكا حسيت إني فارقتهم كلهم وفقدت الأمل.
How do teachers make these kids feel safe so they can learn?
I think if you make that personal connection with those kids, then they know who to turn to when they need to turn to someone.
Good morning, beautiful children. Are you ready to learn? Yeah!
The Dearborn Public School District has figured out that intensive professional development in language instruction and culturally responsive practice can make a big difference in helping immigrant students succeed.
It's about good teaching, it's about focused instruction, it's about providing them the kind of environment that they need. Most of all, it's about believing in them.
The Teachers Union has been an important partner in helping these students thrive.
I learned very quickly about the variety of needs for these kids and how important it was to be able to meet them so that they could be successful.
This effort starts from the moment families walk through the front door.
All right, have a super duper day, honey.
To be the first face that they see, I can immediately see some relief on their faces. They feel like they're in a place that they belong versus yet another strange place.
Brothers Hussein and Yusuf Katie came to America because of the war in their home country of Yemen. Their mother had to stay behind.
I was mad because my mom was still at Yemen and it wasn't that fun and I missed her. I cried all the time.
Yusuf, he was saying, oh my God, where's my mom? Tell him he's gonna come, he's gonna come. That's hard for him and us too.
When I said, how was it like? when you first came to the United States? He said, I was sad. I miss my mom so much. I said, really, Yusuf? It's fact, Ms. Al-Haiki, because we are working for National Tech. It's fact.
Yusuf's mom finally did join the family. Now Yusuf is reading above grade level in English.
Kawalalu thought about the times when her mother.
Leaving a country, you were born there, your roots are there, it's not easy at all. So when they come here, the minimum we can do, give them this attention, this love, this care.
You know, they come every day, they're ready, bright-eyed. They ask 100 questions, and then I know that what I'm doing is so impactful to them.
الصدق بشكل شيء أكثر شخص بحبه في المدرسة هي مس القاضي وأكثر شيء أحبها من الأكلات عندي البيتزا.
Dearborn is giving children the chance to dream of a happier life. It starts with a simple message.
Dear students, you are important. You are listened to. I support you. You are in a safe place. Love, Miss Al-Haiki.
Love, Ms. Al-Haiki.
Okay. All right. So that just gave us a lot of the strategies really that we want to use with our kids. We need to make them feel loved. We need to make them feel safe because they are going through a lot. And so a simple thing like a smile or a hug or just a hello in the morning, that can make a huge difference to our kids. And the site will give us a whole lot more than that. But when you see stories like this, I think it really does promote the sense of how important it is just to be there for our kids. All right, question 4. Our students' language and literacy backgrounds vary a lot. How should we approach literacy instruction? Well, like I said before, differentiation is something that we have to do every day. It's not something that is unusual. It may be a little different and challenging for students that come in with a different language or who don't have English, especially if you don't speak the language that they speak. Because remember, not all of our students are English or Spanish. They could speak Vietnamese or Hmong or Arabic or all kinds of other languages. And the site really addresses all of those in some way. And the strategies that they present are strategies that you can use with students of any language or any country. So it's not specifically for Spanish speakers, but it can be for all of our students' needs. Now, the majority of our students, at least in Texas, do speak Spanish. But I will say this, that in the class that the bilingual classes that I'm working with now in Sci-Fair, there is a mix. There's a mix of Arabic and Hmong and Mandarin and Spanish. So it's not something unusual for you to find students that you are not going to be familiar with their language at all. So these strategies are really important to utilize with all of your students. And really, when you think about it, aren't all of our students English language learners? Even if they are native English language learners, they're still learning English. So all of these pedagogies are relevant and are useful for all of our students. So to develop language and literacy for our students who are learning English, slow down. That is one of the probably easiest things that you can do, is just slow the language down for them, because they are learning it, they're learning to listen, they're learning to speak it, they're learning to read it, and they're learning to write it. But the first thing they do is listen, and listening can be daunting when you're speaking rapidly. So slowing down is huge for students. Use a student's home language as a resource. We don't want our students to become dependent on that, because then they're not going to learn the other language. There is a certain amount of productive struggle that we want our students to engage in. But using their home language as a resource is great. It also shows that you are valuing their language and their culture when you do that. You just have to do it strategically. Use the team approach for literacy instruction, making sure that in your small groups you are grouping your students according to their capacities, and then using hands-on learning is always important for any child, and that applies to all of our kids, even our native language, English language learners. Some of the resources that you'll find in Colorin Colorado is the Read 101 for ELS. Those are some literacy resources that are in the site, and we'll go over that in just a little bit because I think we're going to have time. There are class videos, so you'll actually have lesson plans, teachers actually teaching lessons on several different topics, all the way from preschool to high school. You'll see those videos in there. And something that's recently new, well, it's been a couple of years now, but initially it was just the videos, but now there are lesson plans attached. So it's a great resource. If you're just trying to find something to do, you're just at your wit's end, you're sure to find something in those videos. And then lots of tip sheets, not only tip sheets for parents, by the way, in 11 different languages for all levels of learners, but also for teachers. There are books in the site that help the teacher monitor students, what to look for, the kind of strategies they can use. So lots and lots of resources for the students and the teachers and the parents. And one of the new things in the website is this ELL strategy library. This information has always been in there in some form or fashion, but they have now created a page that specifically targets specific strategies. And so when you go to that site, the strategies library, you're going to find the strategy, how to use it, the different circumstances you would use it in, some helpful hints on where to use it and how to use it. It really becomes a how-to of how to use these strategies within your classroom. There are ideas for differentiation within these little portals for each strategy. And then you can also filter it. So if you needed a grade level, or if you needed a specific content area with reading or science, or whichever content area, you could sort it by those skills or language levels, and then it would give you examples of how to use it in those situations. And so some of the features that you'll see on that strategy site, and I'm going to go to it in just a second, is using realia and visuals. How do you do that? You've been told that those are good strategies, but how do you actually initiate that in the classroom in the lesson plan? There's tons of graphic organizers and how to use those. Comprehension checks for understanding. There's one of those keywords that happen when those administrators come in and walk through. They want to see those checks for understandings, and they want to see those visuals, and they want to see those sentence frames. That's another key word that's coming out quite a bit and that the administrators are looking for. So if you need help with that, you can go to this site, and we're going to go there now. So here's the ELL classroom strategy. It tells you how to use the videos. It tells you how to use the site as well. So then it goes right into the different strategies. So you have accountable talks, anchor charts, annotated diagrams, cognates, just tons of stuff there. 4 pages of it. So I'm just going to really quick we'll go to anchor charts, because anchor charts are a big deal. So it gives you step-by-step instructions, how the strategy works for the student, how to differentiate, lessons learned, how to co-teach. co-teaching considerations, how the ESL teacher would use it, then it gives you examples of what that might look like in the different situations. And then there's additional resources that you can go to. If you need just a little more, it gives you that as well. Like I said, you can spend hours in this website. There's so much. Okay. All right, so here's an example of using the sentence frames. I'm going to go ahead and play this. I think this one's only like a minute or so, or 2 minutes maybe. But she's really good.
A sentence frame is something that scaffolds for English language learners. It's actually an entire sentence written out where students only have to fill in parts of information that complete the answer. For example, for drawing conclusions about characters, we used Andrew is blank. I know this because the text says blank. So students might say, Andrew is helpful. I know this because the text says he stopped to help the girl pick up her books. This helps students not worry about expressing their thought in English. That part is taken care of for them. All they have to do is go through to the text and isolate the actual answer and plug it in. So that sort of takes away, they're sort of navigating through two skills there. It isolates one, which is the drawing conclusion part, and lets the English part is done for them. And it also scaffolds their English language development.
So scaffolding
a sentence frame is something that scaffolds.
An important part of it's an important part of actually differentiation in general. That's true for all kids. But that scaffolding becomes extremely important for our L's. And so we have to be very intentional when we plan our lessons to make sure that we are intentionally utilizing the strategy that will most support them in accessing that content. Okay, question number 5. We haven't connected with many EL families yet. What can we do differently? Making connections with families is so important, especially in immigrant communities. The feeling of isolation can be overwhelming to the point that the education part of school, which kind of sounds funny, but the actual education part may be a second thought. Like maybe it's not as important because they are dealing with so many other things in their situations. And so connecting with the families and letting them know that you are a partner in their education and building that trust, that relationship with the family lets them know that they can come to you when they have a question and you will go to them not only in the bad times, but also in the good times when the students are doing well, when they are succeeding, and showing them how they can succeed, giving the parents tools to help their students succeed. You know, a lot of times families think, well, I can't help my student because I don't know how to read in English. But letting them know it's okay to read to them in Spanish, because or reading to them in any language, whatever their home language is, read to them in Spanish or in their home language, because that transfers over. It's that literacy part that will transfer over. The learning the language part can come later, but that literacy part in their primary language is really important. So parents need to know that. Parents need to know that just speaking to their students is important, even if they're just speaking to them in their primary language. That communication, that oral language, is what is going to help them eventually acquire that second language. Ensure that the parents know their rights. Make sure that they know what their rights are and that they know how to be safe. Unfortunately, in our current situation, we do have to help our families be safe. And unfortunately also, we can't guarantee. So we can never say we can guarantee that you're safe, but we can give them the tools to help them be safer than they might otherwise be. Find out how they prefer to communicate. If they like email better, if they want a phone call, if they want to come in. A lot of times our parents don't want to come in because either they work, they can't come in, or let's just be really honest, sometimes they're just afraid to come in. And so maybe a phone call is a better way of communicating, and communicating when. Let them know, ask when they prefer to communicate. Just thinking outside of the box, finding different ways to communicate with your families. You have to let them know that it's a partnership. So some of the ways that the website that Colorin Colorado has established to help the families is by creating these multilingual videos. And I'm going to play a couple of them for you. This one here is here. So you'll see lots of videos in Spanish for the families. So this is one of the ones, we're going to see this one in English, but I want you to see this. This is a different language. I'm not really sure what language this is actually, but I'm going to play it for you anyway.
Lò pale de lang, se yon gros pouvoi. E sa prale de pititou gen plis kompetans pou li ak ekri. Kelke swa lang ou pale la kayou, gen plizye fason ka ede pititou apren li. Men ki jon ka komanse? Premièman, pale ak pititou nan lang maman. Sa pa plage yo nan konfizyon. E sa prale de yo apren nouvo mo ak bagay sou monde lan. Pataje histwa ak chante nan lang maman. Visite bibliotek wa pou ka jwen liv gratis nan diferent lang epi apren ki jan pou telechaje liv elektronik gratis sou telefon.
Okay, so you can see by looking at these videos, even I can see here, there's lots of cognates in there. So even though I didn't understand what was being said in here, I could grasp a few words here and there. So that in itself is a lesson, and a way that you can help support the families and let them know, hey, you know, you may not understand everything in the videos that we give you, but there's some ways that some things that you might relate to, even if you don't understand the whole thing. So these videos are really help you connect with the families and make them feel supported and a part of the education system and of the family that they're going to be part of. Here's the one in English. I'm going to play this one for you.
Being bilingual is a superpower, and it will help your child with reading and writing. No matter what languages you speak at home, there are many ways you can help your child learn to read. Here's how to begin. First, speak to your child in your home language. It won't confuse them, and it will help them learn new words and things about the world. Share stories and songs in your home language. Visit your library to get free books in different languages and learn how to download free ebooks on your phone. Listen to your child read out loud. Talk about different words and their meanings. Look through books together. Talk about the pictures. You can also talk about the connections you have with the story. Encourage your child to write every day. They can write grocery lists or text messages. For more ideas, please visit colorincolorado.org/reading.
How empowering is that for a parent
Ser
to know
bilingüe es
that
un
they can...
superpoder y ayudará a la lectura
That
y
was
a
in
las
Spanish.
habilidades.
How empowering is that for a family to know that they can be partners in their child's education? They don't have to wait on the teacher for everything, that they can really help their child to grow academically and in their language. So you can see this video is in 8 different languages. In addition to that, there are there's literature that the website has in 11 different languages that actually give the tips of how to support the children in acquiring a language or in literacy. And I'll show those to you in just a minute. Make sure, there we go. So this is one of the accompanying flyers that go with the being bilingual is a superpower. So now they've seen it in a video, and now they have a sheet that tells them step by step, what are the things that they can do? What are the things that they can share with their student? How can they help them? So these are in different languages so that families can access them. So it shares workshop activities, ideas for the family events, and related resources. Okay, now to something exciting. This is something new through Colorin Colorado, which is a website, but now they have an app. So the app it's a free app, and it doesn't have the whole website on there, just the most important things, right? So a teacher can actually download this app to their phone, and if they need something like a quick strategy or something, they can go right to that. They can go to the tips. They can go to the multilingual content for families. So your families can download this to their phones as well. And so this is just a great way to access things on the go when you just needed something really quick. So we are going to, I don't want to do that. I don't know where it's going.
If you teach English learners, you need to check out Colorin on the Go. It's a new project from Colorin Colorado and the American Federation of Teachers. Colorin on the Go is a free web app that offers more than 100 practical strategies. You'll find ideas for new teachers of English learners and tips on multilingual family outreach, English learner instruction, and social and emotional support. You can use these strategies for your own professional development, and you can easily share them with colleagues. We also have great multilingual resources to share with families, such as our family literacy tips in 16 languages. You can find Colorin on the Go by visiting go.colorincolorado.org or by using the QR code on the screen. And once you get there, you can add a shortcut to your phone or device to make it easy to come back anytime. There's nothing you need to download from an app store. We know you'll find lots of great ideas on Colorin on the Go, and when you do, be sure to tell your friends about it. Thank you for all you're doing for our students every single day.
I am so excited for this app. I have it on my phone, and I will use it all the time to show my teachers. Show my teachers. I'm sorry, I must have not turned it off. Hang on. There we go. Okay. So this is a great way, and we are going to download it today. So here's 2 ways you can do it. If you have an iPhone, you can do this QR code, and it should take you right to the app to be able to download it to your phone. If you have an Android, you'll have to go to https://go.colorincolorado.org/, and it should lead you to how to download that to your desktop. Is that what you call it? Your face on your phone? So I'm going to give you about 2 minutes to go ahead and work on that. And if you have any questions, put it in the chat, and I'm going to look at the chat while y'all are doing that. Can y'all see the chat thing? No, right? I'll give you a few minutes. Don't want that. Sorry. Check. Just make sure that it's working. Just to let you know it's for real, you can see it's on my phone. Awesome. Perfect. Probably Banks got it, Nikki's got it. Yay, Lupita's got it. Natalia's got it. Michelle's got it. Oh, I'm so excited. I did this presentation at NAVE, I think it was last year. And you'd be surprised how many people could not get it on their phone. So evidently something has changed now and it is really easy to get. So I'm so excited. I'm going to give it about another 30 seconds just to make sure everybody has a chance to get it. Okay. All righty. We're going to move on. And in case you didn't get it, there will be an opportunity at the end of this to do a survey. In the survey, you can ask if to have the presentation, and this will be in that. You'll be able to access it that way. All right, let's see. All right. So there are other ways that you can connect with Colorin Colorado. There is a monthly newsletter that you can sign up for. There is a social media page that you can sign up for as well, which is really great. I've seen teachers come on there and say, hey, this is my first class I've ever taught with ELLs. Can you give me some tips? Or I have a newcomer and they haven't had any prior school and they're a sixth grader. Can you give me some tips on how to help? So it's a great way to connect with other teachers all over the country, and so it's a great Facebook group, and the monthly newsletter really lets you know about the new things that are coming up, the new things that are coming on the site, and the new things that are relevant that they'll be covering. So it's just a great way to stay connected, and I'll show that to you in a little bit. So, are there any questions?
Is there a way that we can communicate with you? Like
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll give you a link to the survey. On the survey, my information will be on the survey.
Okay.
And I'll put it in the chat. I'm gonna put it in the chat right now.
Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna give you my phone number, but don't be upset if I don't answer on the first time. I normally don't answer numbers that I don't recognize, but if you send me a text and tell me who you are, I promise I will respond. It's just, you know, there's so much spam out there that I'm afraid to answer anything that I don't recognize. All right, are there any other questions? If they're not, then what I want to do is I want to go in and just play in the website with you, if y'all don't mind, just to kind of give you an overview of what that's going to look like. So that's the, can y'all see it?
Yes.
Okay, awesome, awesome. All right, so this is the Spanish site. So you'll see up here at the top, you'll see it English. And so if you press that, it will go to the English site. But this is the one in Spanish for parents. So you could send this this link to your parents in their newsletters, or if you have virtual newsletters, you could send it to them, and they have access to all of this information. So you know how to support your children, what it's like to teach, the actually teaching bilingual students, particularly for things for families, books and authors they can listen to, videos that are in Spanish as well for them, and then lots of other resources, most of which are in Spanish for them. So this is just like it is a multitude of information for the teachers and for administrators, it is for the parents as well. And they can sign up for the newsletters as well, so they'll get the updates on the new things that are coming in Colorin Colorado as well. So I'm going to go to English. All right, so here is, you can see updated ELL strategy library. So they've just updated it. So they're updating it all the time. So they'll usually send that information out to you. But just to kind of navigate this site itself, if you go to the bar here, you will see ELL Basics. ELL Basics. So it's information for new to teachers for ELLs. An ELL glossary, because we know that there's lots of acronyms in education, and that's the same for our EBs and our ELLs. Just in that in itself is an acronym, and it changes all the time. So keeping up with that is important. Special populations. So we have our students who are ELLs, but they may also qualify under special education. So we have information and resources for those students as well. You have resources by grade. So if you have a third grader, you can go to a third grade, you can go to the third grade and see what resources are available for that. Resources by state. So we're in Texas, and I think most of you are in Texas. But if you were in another state or moving to another state, or had a parent that was going to be moving to another state, they might want to access this and see what sort of resources were available in other states. Same is true for policy and research. This really is national policies and research. So any of the latest research that has been put out is going to be there as well. And Colorin Colorado really partners with several researchers, and so a lot of the information that is in there is firsthand. And Colorin Colorado, some of the participants or the contributors have also participated in some of this research as well. So really see firsthand the research as it is being put out. I mean, this is as fast as you're going to get it. So that it's really a great site if you really want to keep up with what's going on. ELL news and headlines. We know there's a lot of that right now, with the Department of Education being eliminated. I would imagine that this is going to be the place where you're going to go to find really relevant and information that you can count on. You don't have to worry that it's going to be, AI'd or anything like that. This is monitored and kept relevant according to the research and according to what is the best practices for our students. Serving and supporting immigrant students. So we saw a little bit of that earlier. This is another way to access it. And here, this is specifically for special education and ELS. So just under this one tab, so much information that you can access. I'm gonna hit just the, let's see the special populations, just to see it for a minute. You'll find newcomers. So these are types of EBs. Your newcomer students, your students with interrupted formal education, unaccompanied children and youth, refugees, migrant farm workers and students and families, adopted children, long-term Ls, mixed status families, just so much. So, just as everyone else is diverse, our EB population is just as diverse. So, and they require different supports. So that's going to help you there. All right, for school support, social emotional support for Ls, L school enrollment, how Ls are identified and enrolled in the school, the different types of programs that schools may have for Ls and what that means. So if your school engages in a dual language, what does that mean? What does that look like in comparison to a bilingual program or an early exit or a late exit program? That's in there as well. Information on how to ready your student for college, that's in there as well. EL program planning, different types of programs that you can plan in your district, events during the school year, how to coordinate that kind of information. Assessments, how should assessments be given? How should we look at assessments? When should we look at assessments? How should we assess our Ls? Our EBs, special education and L. So a lot of this, like I said, is it crosses over. So you'll see some of the information in multiple places. School libraries, what does that look like for Ls? How do you help your student access the library? Family outreach, really, really important information right now for our families. Administrators, information for our administrators, keeping them up to date on the laws and how they can support their teachers and how they can support the students and the families in their communities. Paraprofessionals, we could not live without our paraprofessionals. I don't know about you, but there's no way that I could have made it through my first year of kindergarten without my paraprofessional. And so they're so important. So there's lots of information for them as well. And then, of course, remnants of the COVID situation is still there, and information if we have any remnants of that. Teaching Ls. So new to teaching Ls, this is for teachers, right? Specifically for teachers. Supporting newcomers, creating a welcoming classroom, the LL classroom strategy library, ELL strategies and best practices, language and vocabulary instruction. So important for our Ls. That vocabulary is key to them acquiring the language. And so different strategies on how you can do that. Your literacy instruction, content instruction, because it's a little different. The content they have to access regardless of their acquisition of the language. And then literacy is a different type of instruction. So how do they say that in first through or pre-K to second grade, you're learning to read, and then third through and above, you're reading to learn. So that looks different in the classroom for our Ls. You can skip the Common Core. That's just a function of this being a national website. Roles of our ESL teachers, that's different than bilingual teachers. Special populations again, and then navigating the topics tips through for our educators. Let's see which one I'm going to pick to look at. I think I want to pick, let's do this. So there's a video on the EL strategy, how to use Colorin Colorado EL strategy library. Okay, so here's the strategies. That's the strategy library there. Okay. See what else we can pick there. Well, you'll find this information in multiple places. Okay, so here's for your families. Again, the families portion of it is in English, or if you click here, it's in Spanish. So this whole site, that whole part of it is for your Spanish-speaking families. I'm going to go back to English. And then what you'll see there is how to help your children learn, learning together in the home, preschool years, important partnerships, school success, raising bilingual kids, technology at home, resources for parents, visiting the public library when your children need extra help. So really information for your families to access to really help their students at home. Okay, this is one of my favorite parts, the books and the videos, the authors. This is where we're going to see some of my favorite, I used to call them my educational crushes because they're so good. They're so good at the information that they have researched and share with the whole public that I'm just totally enamored. So this is where you're going to find these. So they're books, they're book binders. Now you're not going to find many of the actual books in here. In fact, I don't think you're going to find any of the books in here, but you will find the authors and the book names in here, and they'll tell you who it applies to and what the topic is. So, okay, we have a raised hand. Yes, Miss Claudia.
Hi, Glenda. There's a question in the chat.
Okay.
Someone wants to ask a question.
Okay. Can we unmute?
Hi, it's me. My name is Lupita Villalobos, and I'm a teacher. My question is, so if I'm understanding this correctly, at least in the state of Texas, a student who is in the bilingual program or LEP is considered an at-risk student. Are you able to speak a little bit about like what that actually means? Like, I feel like as though that kind of comes with a connotation, you know, when you look at my roster of all dual language students who are in pre-K, and, you know, it's a little bit jarring just to see that they're all considered at risk. So that's my question.
Okay, I wish I could speak intelligently to that question. What I've been a bilingual teacher for 16 years now. So, and you're right, the label at risk has always been attached to the ESL and the bilingual students. I think that at-risk label might have more to do with getting funding for that student to have extra resources. I know that speaks to or is part of the criteria for Title I. That's what I think. I would have to research that. I'm not sure that that's in here. I could look under resources by state, and we could go to Texas. And then you'll see information about state and bilingual websites here, then Title III, then migrant education, right? And what I might do here is if we get anything, we put at-risk status. I don't know that we will, but here we go. At-risk learners bilingualism, is it a good idea?
Yay, I'll take a look at that. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
There's also a question in the chat.
Okay, also, let's see. What grade level are books for? Does this include deaf students? Great question. Let's look. Books for young children, books for kids.
I've gone to some of the I've gone to the Epic resource. There's also something called Sora that they have at the Dallas School District, and like they had. I've heard of Colorin Colorado. She says like at the end of the book she says Colorin Colorado. So I guess that's like the similar type of. But those are usually I read a lot of books that were like maybe like for like 3rd grade and 2nd grade level.
So, are you talking about at the end of the story in bilingual books they'll say Colorin Colorado?
Yeah, it's like
Este cuento se ha terminado.
que terminado. Sí.
Okay, so
It's
that is,
it's
I'm
so
so glad
cute.
you brought that up. I'm so glad you brought that up. So everybody asks, what is Colorin Colorado? What does that mean? Well, in the Spanish culture, when a book is read to a child, let's say it's a fairy tale of some kind, and in English, usually fairy tales end with, and they lived happily ever after, right? Well, in Spanish fairy tales, at the end of a book, you say, Colorín colorado, este cuento se ha acabado, or este cuento ha terminado, right? It's just a saying that is said to indicate that that's the end of the book, right? And it's kind of a cultural thing that you do, and that's why this website was named that. So that's usually for younger level books because they're usually fairy tales and books of that nature. And you're usually reading to young children. You're not going to have a middle school chapter book, and at the end you're going to say Colorin Colorado. At least I don't think so. But it's usually for younger children. So I would say 3rd grade's about right, but even younger than that. Does that answer your question? I'm not sure I answered your question.
No, you did. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for asking that question. That's awesome. Let's see, are there any others? All right, so I'll continue on. Just because I want to show you a couple of things in the videos before we have about 10 more minutes. Let's see, diverse books. Let's go books for professionals, okay? Because we have books for younger children. And so it'll give you some authors and some books. It's a book list for young children. Book list, lots of book lists, right? And they'll give you some of the books that are new, right? So you'll see diverse books. We'll just look at it, a book list. And then some of the authors here are also interviewed, these are amazing. So it even goes as far as the diversity of the books by culture. So you see Asian Pacific, in American Indian youth literature. I mean, just a variety. Again, this is not just a Spanish language website. This is for all languages. And so one of my favorite things is just the interviews that they have with the authors of these books and the bilingual books. And I had the good fortune of being able to go to the Tomas Rivera book anniversary several years back, and when I met a bunch of the authors of the books that had won that award. And it's really amazing to talk to the authors because their perspective is so, I want to say it's just very loving and accepting and warm for the cultures. And so when you read the books and you read the books to the children, you have this sense of family and belonging. And so it's really great to see the authors in these videos and listen to their perspective of why they wrote the books, how that affects them, and how that make that connection to the children. So it's really amazing. The videos, the class videos, I'm going to show you that. There's a webcast in here and the authors, the experts, but this class video, the classroom videos are really what are great. And I'm going to show you one that I use quite often, actually, if I can find it. About tortillas. Okay, these are just videos on things to do in the classroom, different ways to support L's in the classroom. But what I want to find is the videos on literacy. These are classroom videos. I just want to. It'll come. But there are classroom videos, and with those classroom videos, you'll have lesson plans that are connected to them. So the one is like the Three Burritos or something like that. One of the books that's a bilingual book based on another fairy tale, right? And so it speaks to using realia with the book, and it speaks to integrating the culture into a known fairy tale, which is really important for students, especially when they're moving into those star grades, because they do have to make those connections between texts. So it's a great resource for that. And then it's by the information is sorted by audience, so teacher, administrators, paraprofessionals, librarians, parents, and family. The last, but then definitely not the least, is this resource library. This resource library really has a treasure box of things for teachers to use. And what I want to show you is this guides and toolkits. The guides and toolkits have the starter kits for educators, which has checklists and strategies in them, the tips for EL educators as well, and the family outreach information on how to advocate and how to know policy and use the policy to advocate, how to support immigrants, your immigrant families, guidance on resources from the Department of Education. Let me say this. You will not find these on the Department of Education website anymore because it's not there, but they are here. For example, this newcomer toolkit, this used to be on the Department of Education website. It's no longer there, but it is here. I think that's just profound. I think that's just profound. So you're gonna find those things that our current administration took away. You're gonna find those here related to our students. So here's the tip sheets for parents. It's in 13 different languages. Sorry, I shortcutted them one language. So you'll see here, this is tips for parents for babies, tips for parents for toddlers, tips for parents for preschoolers, kindergartners, first grade, second grade, third grade. And then you'll see all of those tips again in Arabic, Chinese, Navajo, English, French, Haitian Creole, Hmong, Korean, Portuguese, Russian, Spanish, Tagalog, and Vietnamese. Okay, I think that deserves a clap. I just think this is just amazing. This is one of the first things that I saw that really got me hooked in this website, was that the importance that it placed on really reaching every single student, or as many students as they can. And just to show you, and I'm going to do this in English, and I'm going to do this for third graders, because third graders is when our students go to take the STAR test. So I'm just going to show you that. See the guide. And it's a downloadable page. So it's for the parents, and it tells them how they can help their student. You can see making books special, get them to read another one, crack open a dictionary, do a draft. First drafts are rough. You know, I'm working with third, fourth, and fifth graders right now, and getting them to understand that their first draft is not their final draft is really, really hard. So that's one of the things that parents can do to encourage their students to talk about revising and editing. So these are just really good resources for parents to use, and they're simple. They're simple and they are in their language. They're in their language. All right, let's go here. Okay, and then one last thing is the, what was it? So you can even see disaster resources there. They really do hit everything. So, and if you just don't really know, and you just need it to, need it from A to Z, here it is right here as well. So that's it in a nutshell. You can't get this all in a nutshell, but this is, like I said, you can spend hours in here. There is so much. And just when you think that you've done it all, you'll go to the research or the notes on each article and you'll find more and more and more and more. So I encourage you to utilize this with your colleagues, with your principals, with just whomever is connected to our EBs. But also, like I said before, this really is good pedagogy for all of our students. All of our students are learning English, no matter where they are, they're learning English. And so this site is really helpful for all of those strategies. Okay, let me see if I'm going to check the chat once more. But I think that we have come to the end. And so I'm going to leave it at, let me do this. No, I don't want to share. Colorin Colorado, este workshop se ha terminado. Thank you all for allowing me to share this with you. As you can tell, this is my passion. I love this. I love this website. And so I like to share it with as many people as I can.
Thank you so much, Glenda, and thank you everyone for being here. Does anybody have any questions or comments before we go?
Oh, let me, I'm sorry, let me share one time.
Sure.
I do something. I forgot the very last one. Okay, so here is the QR code to do the survey. So if you do the survey, it's just going to ask you just a couple of questions, and then it will ask you if you want the program, so that you can get access to all of the resources that are in there. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you again, Glenda. That was wonderful. Does anybody have any questions or comments before we close for tonight? Well, if there are no questions or comments, we want to thank you for being with us tonight. We will be sending a follow-up email in the next couple of days, and we'll share some of the links and resources that were shared tonight. I will also send you the link to access the session recording, which will be on our YouTube channel. And then if you can think of any questions, feel free to reach out. I will also be sending out certificates. If you were in this session for at least 1 hour, you will be getting a certificate of attendance. So if there are no questions, we wish you a beautiful night. Please take care of yourself. Do something you love. And thank you, Glenda. Do you want to say something else?
No, I just want to thank you all for being here. And I hope that it was useful, and I'm so glad you joined us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.